There's one more customization that I want to do to my terminal settings, and that is to install a script called Git Prompt. Now, this is optional, especially on Windows, since all the main information is already displayed for you while in your Git repositories. However, I still think this is more streamlined while also conveying all the same information. So it's worth setting up. All right, back at my desktop, I'm going to launch my web browser. And I have a special GitHub organization set up for all my training classes. Go to github.com/Taylor-training-courses. Find the repo named Installations. Click into that. Once in that repo, you should land on the main branch. Now, let's go into Windows, then Git. And here we'll find a README file, which is already rendered out. We want to find the section called Git Prompt, which is down here. In particular, if we read down through here, we see there are a handful of commands. These commands will make it pretty easy to install the Git Prompt as well as supporting scripts. This again assumes that we're starting with a brand new install. So if you have existing files, please make sure you back them up. I don't need to back anything up because I'm starting completely fresh and these files don't exist for me yet. So I'm going to fire open Git Bash. And I should be in my home directory. So let's confirm that. See, pwd says print working directory. And at least in terms of how Git Bash represents things, I'm in my home directory, which is under the C drive, under users, and then my name. If I do an ls-al, I can see I have a list of files and folders here. All right, let's go back to our browser. And I want to copy the first line here. Just select that line, then copy. And head back over to Git Bash. Now, one thing to keep in mind, let me clear my screen to return to the top. One thing to keep in mind is if you're using Git Bash, the terminal Git Bash, then you need to use Shift Insert to do your paste. We double check that and then press enter. That downloaded the Git Prompt script from the official Git repo. All right, let's bounce back to our web browser. And we'll do the same for the next line down. This will download a version of my Bashrc script. Shift Insert, and then press enter. One more time. We'll do this for the Bash profile. Copy. And now Shift Insert. All right. Let's open our current directory with a text editor. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. Code and then period. All right, now I'm going to find those new files that we just added. Here I have the .git prompt. If we open that up, you can see this is a fairly large script. There's really nothing to do here, just keep it the way it is. Next, we'll look at the Bashrc file. This does a few things. It sets up our coloring scheme for Windows. It creates an alias because I always type LL. And this is where the real magic is. This is where we set up the get prompt, assuming that that script actually exists. If it does, it's going to source it and then use the function within it. All right, let's go to the Bash profile. This simply just loads the Bashrc file. This is a fairly common technique. All right, we're going to close out of Visual Studio Code or whatever text editor you're using. And now, once we're back to our terminal, let's go ahead and exit out. And at this point, we can close our web browser. All right, let's try this out. Open up Git Bash. And our prompt should be very different now. Let's try using that alias, LL. All right, and it looks like we have a new coloring scheme. If we want, we can double check to make sure this all works in the Windows terminal as well. So I'll close out and then launch Windows Terminal. And it's set up. So Windows Terminal is using Git Bash under the hood, which means it executes all our scripts as we log in. Now, Windows Terminal will render the fonts and the colors slightly differently, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, we can exit out now.